I do his work. We're wondering.
There's an automatic connection between you and the screen.
It is. It's terrible. I hate it. I mean, I like work. Don't get me wrong. I hate being on a screen all the time.
I know. I couldn't do that. I need real boards and hammers and stuff like that. So why is RCTV joining?
So we've been asking them to try to do some of the boards and committees that they couldn't do before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when they can and they don't have too many other conflicts, they'll be here. Whether or not it'll be live streamed is another matter. It just depends on what other things are
up and going.
Yeah. So
it was actually Ginny that was on this afternoon for the Ash Street project, and I was working on something else, but I kept hearing it and ran in to check it a couple of times. Also on yesterday for the road diet one. They're all very interesting. Ginny's on. Carl Midnight isn't here yet. Justin LeBlanc is coming on.
So how many do you need for a quorum, Everett? Is it 4? 3?
I think it's 3.
3. Okay. So you're fine whenever you want to open the meeting, and I'll start the recording.
And let them in if they show up?
Of course.
Okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7:01 by my watch of the Historic District, and welcome you all in for this, after this breezy morning that we had. And one of my neighbors lost a big tree. I'm going to turn the meeting over for just a second to Julie Mercier, so she can make.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, Eileen. Thanks for joining us. I'm just about to make a quick announcement.
Okay.
So, Everett just called the meeting to order a minute ago, and I'm Julie Mercier, Community Development Director. I'm here tonight to help you from the town side of things. I just wanted to make a quick announcement that the meeting is being recorded by RCTV, and it will be available on RCTV YouTube. It may also be being live streamed right now. I'm not sure if we're officially on TV or not. I am also recording the meeting over Zoom. So for anyone who's unfamiliar with the Zoom format, I just want to let you know that typically the way these hearings work is that the commission will hear from the applicant, and then the commission will talk amongst themselves and may ask questions, and then they'll open it up for public comment. And then if anyone from the public does want to speak, you can, Zoom has a raise hand feature. I think it's if you go to the participants tab and the ellipsis, go to your name, you should see the option to raise your hand, and I'll be monitoring that, and I'll let Everett know. And then we'll announce you. And if you can just please state your name and address for the record before you speak, that would be helpful. Other than that, if you can please stay muted unless you're speaking, that would be great. And I think I'll turn it back to you, Everett. Thanks.
Thank you very much. First thing I'd like to do is we have 2 alternates here that can fill in. I heard Eileen's name. Is she on?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. That's good. So I'm trying to figure out, we're missing Greg. Can we appoint more than one at this point? And we have a youngster here too. Amelia, I'm going to move you up to I'm hearing a voice, but don't know who that is. I'll move Amelia up to, is that Pino? I'll move Amelia, if it's okay by you, up to a position for the evening until we find out what else is going on. That may go up or down again. And Carl, you'll be with us in case I have to run away. Okay. We have 2 set things on the agenda for tonight, and just a short meeting after that. This is a public hearing for 150 West Street. We've heard from Michael and Noel before as they introduced their edition of their project about, I'm going to guess, 2 to 3 months ago, and they have been well on the road. You should have received the application via email, which is about 20 to 30 pages with all the specs. I broke that down a little bit and dropped it to house about 5 pages or 6 pages. That's double up to give you what I considered the historic district's frontline view from West Street and the topics that we would need. That does not mean that any other topic that's in the presentation of the application cannot be discussed. We're open to all of that. But first, I'd like to turn it over to Noel and Nicole to see if they have comments that then I'm not going to attack that last name and massacre it again. And see if they have comments that they would like to make at this time.
I just want to jump in and offer, I can screen share the application if that's helpful for everybody. Is that helpful?
It's so long, I figured that we can probably set you to certain pages if we need that. But they did receive it, and they received a hard copy equivalent to about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of the pages, because I did them as half pages, okay, or quarter pages. That's because my printer didn't like me and I was only printing quarter pages at one point. So, Michael and Noel, do you have comments that you'd like to make about your new edition?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for seeing us tonight. I don't think we have any additional comments beyond what's on our application, but in brief, we're just looking to add a second floor to an already existing first floor addition, and we're hoping to get your approval so we can move forward with our project, hopefully after tonight.
Right. We did try to move things along as rapidly as possible, put it right into the public hearing because you had already met with us, and that eliminated kind of a sidestep there. And I think we probably should have somebody read the warrant, the posting for the public hearing, if anybody has that. Does anybody have that available by any chance? This is to serve notice that the Historic District Commission, under the authority and requirements of the Town of Reading General Bylaw Section 7.3, Local Historic District, shall hold a public hearing on the application of a certificate of appropriateness for or at 150 West Street, submitted by Michael and Noel. Let's go. Yomalakis, okay. Under the requirements of section 7.3.7.4, the Historic District Commission determined that such application involves the alteration and construction of an addition to the back of the dwelling, subject to review under the bylaw. The public hearing will be held on Wednesday, September 30th, 2020 at 7 p.m. via Zoom. That was legally posted, and so that goes out to the 30, all abutters within 300 feet, and it's public in the paper. Okay. Pending no immediate comments, I'd like to open it to the committee to see if they have questions on the application. Lightly stated, this is a second floor addition to the back of the building with some alterations, definitely of the roof line, at the back of the building. That does not mean that the two sides, both the south side and the north side, are not somewhat visible from the main street. I would like to open it up to the committee to see if they have any questions to start. Come on, guys. Eileen.
I'm wondering if any of the visible parts from West Street are going to conform material-wise to the requirements of the commission.
I tried to circle those that
Yes,
I thought might be
it
visible.
was hard to read.
I know it was hard to read. It's small. The roof, I don't know if they're doing a total roof job, but it should be a match to it. Should be asbestos shingle. I believe that's what it states in the specs.
Yes.
And
Yes, I see that. Yeah.
The south side and the north side, especially the south side, would have, I believe they state vinyl siding. I assume that would, quote, match. And I'll put my fingers up and make it a quote. The vinyl siding that's on the building, that's what's proposed. And I believe on the right-hand side, there would be decking that might show. There is currently deck there, but I don't know if that's being rebuilt or not, but it shows up in the plan, but I don't know if it's being rebuilt or not. Other than that, windows are also under our jurisdiction, and there's a patio door. I don't know where that's going to be located. Mike and Noel can fill us in on that if we know that.
Sure. So to answer your first question about our current deck, if that's the deck that you were referring to there, that won't be involved in this project. The deck that we currently have on the back of the house. There is a balcony on the plans that you guys have in front of you that will be on the back side of the home.
Right.
Yeah, of the second floor.
On the second floor. Okay. I guess the question I have, and I'm not quite sure on this, the present front roof, is that going to be extended up about 4 feet, 3 to 4 feet? Is that what I see? Or is that just going to stay where that ridge line is going to stay where it is?
The present front roof won't be touched. So the ridge line will stay where it is, and our architect was sure to make sure that the addition roof and the backside didn't exceed the height of the current roof.
Okay, that's one of the questions I wanted to answer, because that definitely is a visibility problem with seeing it partly sticking up and stuff like that, so it does not extend. Questions from the committee at any time? Yeah, just me, folks. Let me ask about windows. It's hard for us non-professionals to read these spec sheets. Are the windows going to be double hung? Are they going to be matching the present windows in the house?
Matching the present.
Going to match the present. Okay.
Yes.
I think in the diagrams that I gave everybody, I marked the old north side versus the new north side, so you should be able to look at the pieces fairly articulately. And the deck that's going up in the back on the second floor is not visible from the front. So I think that's there. The sliders, are they going to be replaced on the deck? Is that the set of sliders that's being replaced, or is it going, are they another place, another location?
It's just for the new balcony.
It's just for the new balcony.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Again, that does not is not visible, so it's much less of an issue. Well, the committee's been through this one once. Now with the specs, does anybody have any further questions?
Virginia has a question, Everett.
I can't see that, but let her speak.
Greetings. I was hoping the applicants could probably review any differences from their initial proposal and point them out so that we don't have to go through the whole extent of the application, if they will.
Sure. So our initial proposal was really very preliminary. When we sat before you before, we were just kind of making sure that you would allow us to put a second floor on. We hadn't hired an architect at that point, and we didn't have any of the details narrowed down. So it's just the details, I guess, that are new today.
And okay. Those details of what I was specifying, for example, in asphalt roof shingles, vinyl siding, I assume would be as matched as closely as possible.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from the committee? I'm trying to look this up.
Amelia has a question, Everett.
Amelia?
Yes. So Everett, I'm looking at the pictures of the elevations and I'm a little confused. There are two that say front. One is on A11 and one is on A6. Which is the new front and which is the old front?
Well, the front is not changing, but I think page A6 is the old, like, images of the, the house the way it currently is, as you see it from the side on that page.
Okay.
And then A11, let me look at it real quick, sorry.
Would it be helpful if I pulled the documents up on the screen for everybody? And for
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll do that. 1 minute. I apologize. Some of the documents are right side up and some are upside down in this PDF, but I'll try to get to the right one. Amelia, you said 6 and 11?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is 6. It's really
upside down.
Everett gave us a subset, includes old south side and new south side, but the front, they weren't distinguished, so I couldn't tell if they were.
Sorry, go ahead.
To my knowledge, there's no change in the front. There should be no change in elevation.
Okay.
Actually, the direct street view is virtually the same. Am I right on that?
Correct.
Yes.
There's no change to the front of the house.
The south side, which is A6 and A10, A6 being the old south side, there is a present addition there, and what they're really doing is going up a second story.
Yes.
There's 2 windows. It's the same on the bottom, but then it's kind of repeated on the top with an extra window. With probably a little work, I could find out that that's probably a bathroom or something, that little window.
Yes.
Yes.
Second story. All architects think alike, and I'm no architect, but that's all right. I find nothing wrong with it. It's a little repetitive. I'm not showing any problem with it. It just repeats the windows. We had a similar, not far from you across the street, they put an addition on, which was the second story on a first story addition to the building above a family room. They put a master bedroom suite, and they repeated the windows, I think, like that. And it still didn't make it pop, but it's pretty far back on the building, and I'm not really having any problems with it, if anybody else is following what I'm saying. Okay. I hope when I made these drawings or knocked these drawings for you, I got them right. It was a little hard to follow them at first, but out of the 30-odd pages or so. Other questions, gang? Is this going to do any alteration to, not that the ground level has anything to do with this, but you had a fence put in the back about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Is that going to alter that at all?
No. We're just going straight up.
Okay. I just want to make sure I say these things so that they're cleared so we don't have a problem later with
Sure.
it. Okay. I have no other concerns. Virginia has her hand up.
Question.
Virginia has a question.
Virginia, you're muted.
You're unmuted.
That might be worth it to keep me muted for the whole meeting, you realize. Now, I had a question about the front facade of the house. Are those windows going to be replaced, or are they going to be retained as they are currently in place?
You're muted,
Sorry.
Noel.
Sorry. We're not touching anything in the front part of the house. We're not changing the windows or the siding or anything in the front.
Again, Virginia?
So what is the front facade cladding material?
The current siding?
Yes.
Yes.
It's like vinyl siding.
It is vinyl.
Okay.
I don't know how young it is. It's changed in some of the composition of the vinyl, but I couldn't tell. I'll ask a question again about the windows on the south side. That being such a fairly large blank facade, do you have any feeling, I'm asking, I guess, the board right now and the owners, would there be a want to shutter those windows to make them occupy some of that blank wall? There's shutters on the rest of the building. If we could see A10. Julie. There, on the bottom, you see shutters on the original part of the house down to the bottom. There. You see shutters on the original house in the front. There is no shutters currently on the first floor, and the addition on the second floor shows no shutters on it. Do you think it would help with the appeal of that south side to break up all that wall with shuttering? I don't know if, and I guess I'd have to have a clarification. Do shutters fall under our jurisdiction? I don't know that. I don't think I've ever seen it in there. If not, I would plant the seed that you might want to draw them in on some particular drawing at some particular point and consider it later as an improvement of the atmosphere of the house or the look of the house.
Sure.
It's kind of a tough situation because it's over a driveway. There's a garage door there. You know, it's not an overly generously appealing. It doesn't have high visibility. You're not on a corner or anything, but that side is visible on from West Street. But I would put that out as a personal suggestion that you might want to consider it.
Thank you.
Okay. And the other side, I don't know. There's more deck and things to break it up. It just doesn't look like all wall. Question from Virginia.
I have a question too.
They might want to consider awnings over the tri-section windows, just to break up that facade if they don't go with the shutters.
Okay.
Right.
It's just so much wall compared to the amount of window space, and you do want privacy in them. So as a result, find some other way maybe to do that.
Sure.
Eileen?
I'm looking at the actual photos from the original application, and the way I see the roof line, I don't see any room for shutters there. I see very little area from where the roof is to put a shutter in, particularly with the triple window. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm seeing.
Well, that's something that can work out.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention.
Shutters can go right up to the soffit. Shutters can go right up to the soffit.
Okay, well then it probably would. I don't know how appealing that is, but just mentioned.
Okay. Any other comments on that? Any other comments at all? Questions at all? Hearing no other questions, I would like a motion put on the floor for a certificate of appropriateness for the application as written with the specs and the considerations that have made at the meeting here. again, my comments about shutters are not part of the commission's recommendation. It's just something that I thought I would throw out for interest. Okay.
So moved.
So moved. Okay, I'll take that. I need a second.
Second.
Then we'll open it for discussion again. A second from somebody.
Second.
Oh, that is the second then. You made my comments the motion. Okay, that's fine. So Virginia has seconded. Any other discussion?
Everett, do we have any public feedback?
We have not heard any public feedback.
Virginia.
One public on. Virginia?
So you may have to close the public hearing.
After we finish the discussion and have a vote.
Right.
Okay.
But don't we have to hear whether anybody has objections before we vote?
When we post it in the paper, it goes out the minimum of 10 days before the actual meeting. And therefore, that is the notification they give to the abutters and to the general public. And so since there has been no comments back, that stands that it's done. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I just thought that there was an opportunity for public, if they were here, to say something.
Oh, right now.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll call for it. Any public listening that wants to have some input or ask some questions? Julie can probably be noticing.
I don't know how many members. It doesn't look like there are potentially any members of the public here, and I don't see any hands raised.
Right. So I just assumed, since Julie hadn't made an announcement, that somebody else, Justin LeBlanc, would be on because he has an application in for the next part of the meeting. So if he wanted to ask questions, could. Other than that, I don't think we have any. Okay. I certainly received no emails or anything about it, and I don't think Town Hall has either.
Okay, thank you.
Last call for questions or comments. Seeing none, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote in that I will state a name and I'll get a yes or a no. Virginia Adams?
Yes.
Okay, let me see who I've got. Amanda Friedman?
Amelia, I'm a yes as well.
Amelia, sorry. I'm thinking Town Hall again. Amelia, sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Who else? Eileen?
Yes.
Bornstein. And myself, yes. And I think that's everybody that's on. Okay. That gives us 5-0. And I believe a couple of people are out. I'll figure that out later. So therefore, your application is approved with a certificate of appropriateness. That has to be written by me, and I'll try and have it in Town Hall tomorrow or the next day at the latest. Let's see, tomorrow's Thursday. It would be better if I got it in tomorrow because they're closed on Friday. And that way your contractor can get it by the end of the day or at minimum on Monday. Okay?
Great. Thank you guys so much.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate the suggestions too. Thank you.
I will remind you that if there are changes that come about because of construction, you do need to contact the board and let us know, and we'll round up and handle them, okay?
Great.
Okay.
Okay. Well, good luck and enjoy the sawdust.
Great. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. We appreciate all your help with this.
Okay. You're more than welcome. Thank you.
All right.
Take
Bye.
care.
Have a nice evening.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, if there's no other further comments, I'm going to close the public hearing, which was 150. And we're going to go on to the second part. We have an application. I have to do a little homework here. From 218 West Street from Justin LeBlanc. And I believe he is around, or he was on earlier. Is Justin available? Julie, do we have Justin on?
Yes, it looks like Justin is still with us. And I can, again, screen share the application if that's helpful to everybody.
I think it would be.
Okay.
I did not send out any additional information on that. Okay, we have the application up. And do we have Justin? I can see if I can find his picture on here sometime. Watch me lose everything on my screen. There he is. Okay, now I can see Mr. LeBlanc. We have an application. I don't have it stamped in, but it was written on 8/31. Because of the COVID situation and town hall, it's tough for me to receive stamped in copies of some things. But I do have that application, and I'd like to give Mr. LeBlanc a chance to speak about us, what his proposed project is. Good evening, Mr. LeBlanc.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here tonight. Luckily for you, I'm not trying to build a house, just a fence. But as a little bit of background, I moved into 218 West Street a year ago today, actually. And the picture in front of you is the area of our yard where my wife and I would like to build a fence, primarily for privacy reasons from stop traffic at the intersection of West Street and Woburn Street. And also because I have a 7-month-old son who in the spring is going to be moving around outside, and we'd like to create a safer space for him. So what I was hoping to do was put up a 6-foot-tall white vinyl fence on the area shown where the grass is. So this fence would not block the front of the house at all. It would merely be on the side yard here, parallel the sidewalk, and then moving down towards the back of the yard, dividing our house and my neighbor's house there on the left. Happy to answer any questions you guys may have, or kind of work with you to see if we can come up with some sort of solution here, as I know that fences walling off West Street aren't usually looked highly upon. So one of the ideas I had was to move the fence not right along the sidewalk, but to make it parallel to the front of the house, which would push the fence back off the road several feet, and would allow for the planting of bushes or other shrubs to kind of break up the fence itself.
Okay, other comments right now?
I had a question.
Carl?
Yeah, had you looked into using wood as a material for the fence at all?
So I didn't get a quote for wood, and the primary reason for doing that was I didn't think that a natural wood color would look good with the house as it's currently painted. I thought that a white fence would match the white trim on the house and blend well with the gray exterior.
Just as a general comment, fences fall under the jurisdiction of the Historic District Commission under the guidelines. And we've had several precedent setting situations as to what we consider. Under those recommendations, they generally fall under what we call natural materials and not synthetics. We've had some issues with that because what we've said, if they're in backyard, well, this is like the backyard, I understand that, but it does come up. So Mr. LeBlanc and I have had some initial discussion about this, only because he may have asked or I may have commented, and because I needed to know that, for him to know that it falls under our jurisdiction, and therefore it would have to be a meeting on it, about that. not necessarily a public hearing, just a meeting on it. Okay. So I think that's why you're hearing the comment about wood. Other comments or questions from the committee?
Virginia has a comment, Everett.
Virginia?
I'm very pleased that he's considering putting the fence to the align with the front of the structure because out by the concrete sidewalk would be very obtrusive. I still have a little problem with the fact that this is a particularly historic site because this is where the Minutemen left Reading on the night of April 18th, heading to Lexington and Concord. This was their gathering spot. And it's also at the junction of Woburn Street, so that there are a lot of headlights going there, which would really be very reflective if it was artificial material. So I'm encouraged that at least it's moved back. And secondly, I would really promote the fact that natural wood painted white with Huckleberry Finn's help would probably work very well.
Other comments or questions at this time? Amelia?
I'm looking at the hand-drawn picture 2, which I think is in the next page. Right. So the fence that you're requesting, it's just an L? It doesn't actually enclose anything?
So that picture was drawn prior to my conversation with Everett, where basically the initial plan that I had was to move the fence closer to the sidewalk and then drop the fence from a 6-foot fence down to a 3 or 4 foot white picket fence just in front of the house for aesthetics. But since it's not really popular to put a fence along the sidewalk, my revised proposal would be to move the fence in line with the front of the house and forego any sort of picket fence in the front.
Right, but what I'm looking at looks like an L. It's not a rectangle or a square. So just to clarify, you're not looking to enclose any part of the yard?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
I just want to comment here, having had 3 boys, I think you'd want to enclose a lot more. Yeah, all kids want to go every place anyway. I'm just going to run this by for discussion. I don't really care that it's picket. I don't really, I'm a little upset with 6 foot on the front side. By the way, I think it's an economic move not to put a vinyl fence right up next to the sidewalk. You can go down toward REI. There's 2 down there where the snowplow or a bike has hit them and they're already gone on the bottom. They were in less than 2 years and they were damaged so severely. And now you can't get parts for them because those are a part product versus a real wood product. They're much more of a nightmare than people want to think. They're maintenance free until they're not maintenance free. In fact, the tree that went down in the yard next to us took out one section of the fence. And they've already got one other section that they haven't been able to repair because it just fell apart. So I don't know what they're going to do. And their backyard is enclosed. That's more for pet reasons, now that the kids are older. I'm going to put out a suggestion that it's nice to move it back to the house line. That's great. I would suggest 4 feet, make it solid instead of picket. Put some bushes in it, and the bushes will grow above the 4 feet much faster than you want them. You'll be out there trimming them anyway for most sorts of things, and maybe do something different on the side if you don't want it to be wood. And neighbors can be friendly or unfriendly, depending upon what you want to do there. give you a little bit more leeway on that, but control that front and make it warm. I agree with you, it's a very busy corner, but I very much agree that plastic is very reflective. And at that particular point, the cars coming around, it's not going to be just the cars coming up and down West Street. It's going to reflect back onto the other side of West Street, which is kind of a problem too.
Yeah, I mean, so I kind of get I get the sentiment of the group right now, and I'm happy to switch to a wood fence. I'm not married to the idea of a vinyl fence. It was just a quote that we received. So, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to make this a wooden fence if that's what it takes to get this project done.
Would you consider it? Let me ask Virginia, do you have a comment or question? Virginia?
Yes, I was just going to suggest that perhaps a lower fence with a topping of lattice work or something is less, it still serves the purpose, but it's less invasive visually.
I would go along with that also. Some of that fence someplace between 4 and 6, maybe try 5, and put an open lattice work on the top, and hopefully wood down the side, but would be awesome. I am of the feeling that fences make property look warmer. Some people don't feel that way, but it's a time for people to express their. I've tried to point out to Mr. LeBlanc that the improvements on West Street have been phenomenal. When roughly 20 years ago, when we started the project, West Street was beginning to deteriorate. People wanted to open up their houses and put businesses in them. It's hard to imagine, but South Main Street used to look like West Street. It was private houses. And as it deteriorates, the traffic was huge. Sally Hoyt was able to get past the Mass Legislature, a reduction in trucks on the street. The state came up with the building project after being petitioned, and the money became available to rebuild the street and put sidewalks on it. And then the historic district makes it warmer as we've added features to the properties that have, or reduced features that have made it much, much better. So you bought into a great place, Reading, and would like it to make it as comfortable for you as possible. Do we have any other comments from the commission as to things they would like that are under their jurisdiction to look at? Well, then we're going to need a recommendation on the board. It would be for a certificate of appropriateness for a fence. I believe that the front part would be set back to be an extension of the house front line and going back in its L shape. I would suggest that it be something in the 4 to 5 foot range. It would be a wood product, and shrubbery is your choice because it's not under our jurisdiction. Bushes and trees come and go. And if you have any serious concerns about that, I would ask, you're going to put a gate in it. You're going to walk there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, there'll be a gate there, a 4 foot wide gate.
Okay, that I would like to be included in there. There'd be a gate at the walk site. If that's acceptable to you, we will make that available to your neighbors in what we call the abutters letter that has to go out to your abutters. And then if there's no concerns, it would be 10 days, and we can write the certificate of appropriateness with those comments, conditions in the letter. Okay? Is that all right with you, Mr. LeBlanc?
Just a question for clarification purposes, is there really a huge difference between a 5-foot fence and a 6-foot fence? 6 foot is pretty standard from what I'm told, having been quoted on a fence.
Well, as Virginia said, you have that, some have, it is 6 foot is usually the standard, but 4 would be better because it leaves some more. I'm not going to get bent out of shape on it either way. I can put it 4 to 6 if the commission feels that they want to vote on it that way. You might, the biggest disadvantage, you're in your backyard, you want to see over the fence, you can't see over your fence. You know, what's going on in the front yard, somebody comes to that gate, you can't see it. And so there's some pros and cons in there, I would think.
Which I completely, yeah, and I completely agree with that. I completely agree with all the comments that we've heard here today. I've never been a fence person in my life. Like I said, the main reason that we're trying to put this fence primarily in that the view facing West Street is just because of the stop traffic at the light at West Street and Woburn Street. I know you guys have said that the traffic is less than it has been in years, but the fact of the matter is that there's still a traffic light there and it still turns red and we still have cars queuing up at the intersection, which is, you know, it's something that we deal with having purchased the property and knowing that full well, but it's still something that we would feel more comfortable with having a young son out there just to have some more privacy for him.
Right, we understand that. So if the committee has no major concerns, we could make it a 4 to 6 foot application, your choice. And you could consider the fact that you put some sort of a lattice work as the top foot. That's a standard 6 foot fence, by the way. Virginia?
Yeah, that would, I wouldn't go for a 6 foot fence unless there was opening lattice on the top.
Okay. We are trying to work with you. It's very, very difficult for because we know that people like their privacy and stuff. So anybody want to put that into a motion? You want me to try and attack it? Motion
Sure.
to allow motion to allow for a certificate of appropriateness for a, I'm going to say 4 to 6 because you might want to change your mind. 4 to 6 section of fence parallel, I guess parallel is right, extending the front line of the house with a gate on the sidewalk side section and down the side of the property. The material would be wood in structure. Your choice to paint or not, that will not be in the application, in the certificate. If you go with a 6 foot fence, we would like the front part of the fence to be open work, lattice work. I don't know if it's spindles, whatever we would like. Is that all right? Second?
Second.
Virginia?
Just a quick comment. Maybe we should phrase that a fence no higher than 6 feet with a lattice work included for 1 foot or 18 inches should the fence go up as high as 6 feet. Give the you don't have to say 4 feet to 6 feet. Just say keep it under 6 feet with those conditions.
Anything above 6 feet is going to require a town permit, and that would bounce back anyway. And so I don't want that to bounce back. So it's no higher than 6 feet. Okay. I think that's the only requirement, Mr. LeBlanc, on fencing. If it's under 6 feet, you don't actually need a building permit. If it goes above 6 feet, such as a 7 or an 8, and they are very special, then they require a building permit. So is that a second, Amelia, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Any further discussion?
Have we put wood in there?
I did.
Okay.
I put wood. with his option to paint it or not.
Okay.
No, he'll need to know that once he starts to paint it, he will paint it. Virginia?
And just think, when his 7-month-old son grows up, he can either scale the fence or he can paint it.
Seeing no other discussion, I'll ask for a roll call vote. Virginia?
Yes.
Eileen?
Yes.
Amelia?
Yes.
And myself, yes. And so, Mr. LeBlanc, you will have to contact Town Hall, Amanda Beatrice, and have her fill out, fill out an abutters request, and they will email you the address labels and fill you in on putting them in. Do not put a return address on them. Put postage on them, and I will write the letter, and I should have it in there by Monday, so that as soon as you request that abutters list, you can get that out within 10 days. If there's been no concerns, I will issue a certificate of appropriateness for your fence. Okay.
Question for you. Who on the abutters list needs to be notified?
It's everybody within 300 feet, I believe. They will send you a specific list of all those people. It does cost.
Yeah, but no, they sent me, I filled out the application and they sent me the list. It had probably 1,000 different people on the list, which is why I was wondering. But I can follow up with Amanda on that.
It should not be 1,000 people. It should be 300 feet. We also have to have in our motion, and I'll have to change this, that we are going to waive a public hearing.
I'll make that as an amendment to the main motion.
Do we have to vote on that again?
Yes.
Oh. Okay. Amendment to the main motion that there will be no public hearing. That's what this abutters list does. It comes. Maybe Amanda can see what that really is, because it really should be about. It shouldn't be 1,000 people. My God, there's only 25,000 in the whole town, so it should be in the vicinity. I'm guessing 30 letters or something like that would have to go out. So on the amendment to not have to waive the public hearing, I need a, do we need a second on that?
Second.
Okay, Eileen has done a second anyway, just in case we need it. And we'll vote on it. Virginia?
Yes.
Eileen?
Yes.
Amelia?
Yes.
And myself, Everett, yes. That's 4-0-0, I guess. That there'll be no public hearing on it. All right, that takes care of Mr. LeBlanc's situation on fence. Okay. All set, sir?
Perfect. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome to Reading. It's still within a year. Actually, it's a year and 1 day. Thanks.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you very much. Julie, with that in mind, I've just got a couple of pieces of information for the board, just so that they were aware of it. I believe you've received through your email a letter written to Dr. Littleton of 186 Summer Ave, suggesting that he is going to be called to go to a Zoom meeting, a virtual meeting, and talk about the intent of what's happening to the property at 186 Summer Ave. I had made a suggestion last time that we should consider the fact that we break into different people taking different sections of it. One person might deal with what the state rulings do. Is there any place there we can move on it? Selectmen, legal, and that we attend that meeting. That will be a public meeting with the historic district, with the historical commission, and see what's going on. my suggestion is that in 6 months or so, we will do that from our board. And so we'll be representing the right to know what's going on that property under the preservation restrictions and for the maintenance of it, etc. I would think it would be wise if people considered what might fit with their shoes to working on putting some concerns about the condition of 186 Summer Ave. That's all I have on that.
Everett, Amelia has her hand raised.
So,
oh, okay, sorry.
when we talked about this at Historical Commission, Julie suggested that Jonathan put into writing concerns about the conditions of the house, including the pergola that's in the front of the house that's now been braced with wood instead of repaired. And then Julie was going to do her Julie magic and sort of, we talked about maybe talking to town council. So Julie, is there any developments there?
So I'm still waiting for the email from John, kind of summarizing where you are now and what your concerns are now. But that is accurate that I did offer that we could circle back, since I think the last time that we had town council involved, the concerns were pretty different than they are now. So I volunteered to kind of work that up the chain and see if we can get town council involved again. I just need someone to kind of summarize what your issues are for me so I can send that along.
Right. And as I said, we're going to let the Historical Commission go through, and then we're going to reattack it, reissue it, or whatever the case might be. I'm the one that brought up to Jonathan that the vine pergola, or whatever it is in the front, is being supported by wood beams or wood structure. We don't have any jurisdiction over trees, but if trees start to interfere with the property itself in terms of the building, I think we have issue there. The Preservation Act should be read and studied, and just do our homework a little bit on it. Yeah, the letter has already gone out. I've already received it, and I have a hard copy right here. If you'd like me to forward it to you, I will. Okay. I'm getting really tech savvy, except I can't watch my screen and think too. All right. I will also remind the board that as of November 3rd, I will be stepping down as chair at the very bare minimum. I will step off the committee if it's necessary. Priscilla's also not here. That's who it is. We could have had Carl voting. Can't do this very well. There are several options available. If, as I said, I can step off the committee entirely, I would step down to be a regular member. I have contacted Jackie Laverty at Town Hall. We do not have to go through the entire process, but we have to decide what we want to do, and we then have to present it to the selectmen. For example, we could switch somebody to be chair and myself, or I will step into the position of alternate where I would still attend the meetings. I feel fairly confident that I've worked pretty hard on this project over a lot of years since I was there with Virginia Adams at the very beginning when we wrote the guidelines. Certainly not knowing enough at the time, would do some things differently now. So it's been a lot of years of involvement, probably 15, 16 to 20 years involvement. But I've been on this board since November 3rd, 2009. And that's when I was first appointed to Peter Heckenbleckner. But again, the board's going to need to decide how they want to use that. I will make, if I have any expertise at all, I love construction. I like architecture. I feel this has done a lot of good for the district. I stated those things before, how much of an improvement this place is, or has stayed at least somewhat better because of everybody's putting in to help West Street become a better place in the town of Reading, or that section that's in the district. If anybody has any suggestions, we will have a meeting at some particular point in October or the beginning of November. And by that time, I will have put my thoughts into writing. But somebody needs to step up to the base. And I think we could divide the work up. There's no reason why somebody can't plan the meeting, somebody take care of the minutes and make sure that we're renewing them or reviewing them as we should and voting them. Somebody else could be writing the certificates. Somebody else could be doing any other legwork that had to be done. But I just, right now, for personal reasons, I have to step to a different position. Okay. Is anything else that needs to come up before the board?
So does this mean that nobody has stepped up to the plate here, Everett? No one's expressed interest?
No, nobody has. And there's some problems associated with it. That's why I checked out with Jackie Laverty to see that there was a feasibility that we can switch positions. We have the right to elect a chair anytime we want. So I can just say, I don't want to be chair, or I can't be chair. Somebody else needs to be it. But counting all things is a little bit unequal. Some people might like to do it. Some people might not like to do it. And so we need to find somebody that will at least cover the base and get the things done. If, for example, I step down from a full position as chair into an alternate, that leaves the chance for yourself or Mr. Pino or Mr. Carl to come stepping up and fill that position. We can change those positions on our board, but we have to do it through the selectmen. That's what I understand. And I emailed you that this afternoon, a copy of that.
So I just got to be, Amanda, were you going to say something? Oh, so I just stepped up on Historical Commission to secretary. So I can't do the whole position. If we could break this position up with multiple people, I would be happy to take part of it.
Yeah, I don't know. And I was hoping Mr. Pino might be here and take a look at it. And
yeah, does it? Am I inhibited at all by being an alternate, or I would?
Have you been here all along?
Yeah.
We haven't seen you. So I guess we're.
Am I limited?
I didn't call for you on the vote.
Am I limited because I'm an alternate? Does that not matter once you switch everything up?
You are. My understanding is you cannot be chair if you're an alternate. Sure. I'm not 100% on that, but I bet I'm 98% on that.
Right, but I mean, not to be chair, but if you switched everything around, in that same swoop, could you make me a regular member, or one of us a regular member and then you switch with us, or do you have to like serve out your term as the alternate?
I would serve out my term as the alternate. I would switch, for example, if you said you would take over and be a standard person on the committee, I could be an alternate, but we've got to present that to the selectmen.
Okay, but we can switch like midstream. We don't have to wait for like my term to be up. Okay.
That's right. That's why we have to go to the selectmen, because we are switching midstream.
Yeah, I don't mind taking one of the or helping. I mean, I don't think I should be the chair because I've only been here for a year, really. But yeah, I'm totally fine becoming a full member and taking one of or part of any of the duties.
But we have to figure out how that's going to work. I don't know if Julie has any input on that. I don't know if Town Hall wants to be dealing with 4 people coming in doing things. They used to see me too much as it was anyway.
So I can speak to that a little bit, but I want to just acknowledge Virginia has her hand raised, so she might have some input into this.
Right, Virginia.
Thank you. I'd be happy to step down to associate position to yield to someone else to go up to a full time, because associates have just as much input as regular members. So I could still open my mouth as frequently as I'd like.
Yeah, but mine has 2 feet in it, so. I just, it's personal reasons that the technology is difficult for me, and also there's just personal reasons that I just need to not be 24-hour involved. And it doesn't have to be. Somebody else can do it the way they need to do it, the way the town hall wants them to do it. I had to develop it from scratch, kinda. I was on only a little while, and we went through 2 or 3 people being chair at the time. And then I said, I can do this, and I like doing it. But the problem is I just can't right now. I've kind of wondered this a couple of times, and now I'm making it the solid meat on the plate. And I will step down totally and just resign if I have to. I'd prefer not to, because I think I've got 4 notebooks of previous things that we can draw off, and the person can have them as far as I'm concerned, as misindexed as they are. But I think, and I think a lot of the major stuff is done, except for the 2 majors. We have 2 problems. We got 186 on Summer Ave, and we have, I don't know, like 213 or whatever it is, 115 or 116, the Biggio property. That's being,
which I want to speak on tonight.
Yeah, that's being held up right now because of something that happened on the placement of the building, I understand. And it's been topped, and the top is blown off, and it's sitting to the weather. Half constructed.
So
Virginia?
Do we have any jurisdiction over trying to get the property back in shape? I went by there today, and you're quite right that the top is blown off. And even then, it seems to me they should be able to make it weather tight. Does anyone know the specifics of why work has stopped there? Are they under a work stoppage order?
Cease and desist order or something?
Not that I'm aware of. I actually do not know the reason that work is stopped there. And I guess I would suggest, if they're in violation of your certificate of appropriateness, that would be one thing that we could look into and to take enforcement.
My understanding, it wasn't any violation of the certificate that I know of. It was something to do with setbacks or the placement of the building with lot lines or something like that. I would assume that that's a town problem, because I would assume that they would have had to have the foundation inspected before they put it in. They asked to have it put in early, but I still think they would have had to have the permits and have done it right. I just don't know what the problem is.
So there is an issue with that, but I thought you were talking about whether you could take any enforcement regarding whether you had any jurisdiction yourself. And I do not know that they've been issued a stop work order related to the fact that the foundation is slightly infringing, but they do have a plan, not a physical plan, a theoretical plan for how to fix that situation. It just hasn't been corrected yet officially.
Yeah. In addition to that property, the old residence was in need of some repairs, and that has gone on the market, and you can look at it if you look at the sign, whatever company it's with. And it's my feeling that they did a lot to fix that property up. Now, we can't do anything about the fact that they removed brush and stuff like that, but it does look like the building was painted. There was no certificate issued for that. I have a feeling that roofing was done, but I can't prove it. I've looked back in pictures that I've took of the property. I don't see any original picture of the roofing. And again, now all of a sudden the property's fixed up. It's changed hands. That happened right in the middle of when we were getting the certificate. Bob Biggio sold it out to his friend, and all of a sudden nothing was supposed to change, but obviously it did, and I just don't know why it's not being worked on.
So Amelia has her hand up. She has something to.
No, I just want a clarification. Which house is open to the elements and there's no tarp? It's the new one or the old one?
The new one. The new one.
Okay.
And it was topped pretty tight. so that basically it would have been okay. But in windstorm, I'm going to guess 6-8 weeks ago, that top went array for half of the building at least. There is a cross beam between one roof line and another. I don't understand what that is. So there's a question up there, but it seems kind of obvious.
Let's think about some ways that we can find out the issues and try to get them resolved. If somebody wants to take that on, that would be great.
I would assume I'd have to start with Kim Saunders and find out if a permit has been issued and or if it's been stopped or somebody.
I'll just cut right to the chase. I can email her as soon as the meeting's over and find out for you tomorrow.
Thank you, Julie.
No problem.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
Amanda, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention that we do have a new online permitting system, and I'm going to be working with IT to hopefully get that up and running. I was kind of thinking maybe like the beginning of next year, and hopefully my idea and goal is to try and make it a little bit easier for everybody to streamline like the certificates so no one has to actually physically print it at home and then sign it and then bring it into the office. All you would have to do is send me the information that needs to go into it, and I can plug all the information in and generate the certificate with the signature and go and stamp it myself and send it out. So hopefully that's my goal.
You're talking about our certificate, a certificate of appropriateness or
yes,
applicability. Yeah. Okay.
So I think that the important thing about what Amanda just said is that if it feels like daunting to take on the responsibility of chair, we are trying to work to streamline the process to make it a little bit less administrative work, back and forth work. So for whoever wants to step up and take over for Everett, we'll hand in hand with you on that process to try to make it less of a lift, I guess.
Somebody that takes more organization than I'm capable of doing right now, in that, okay, it's 10 days out on this, and this has been done, and that's been done, and I have folders for them, and I just have so much paperwork around from several things that I'm just getting overpowered by it, and there are reasons. Okay? It's not that I don't want to, it's just that I have to. Okay? Well, I would look forward to the fact that I will call a meeting, I guess. Somebody needs to email me with ideas about how we can break it up or how we can do it. But as of November 3rd, I will. Goodbye. And I'd like to stay on it. I like the input. I think part of the problem is I've had too much control. You've been very good to me. I wrote certificates of non-applicability for repairs and maintenance that was in kind, such as a new roof. So it eliminated a lot of the responsibility that the committee had to do, but in essence, I still had to do the work. And I don't mind going downtown. I live a mile from here, but you got to call and coordinate it with Amanda or Kim or somebody to get the certificate in. And it's just collectively more than I can do right now. Okay. But I will keep going, trudging along.
We should say thank you very much for everything that you've done, Everett, including bringing out the latest forms by hand delivering them. So you have gone above and beyond, and we appreciate it very much.
Well, some of the far away ones I did by car, and I did immediately on my way to the compost area, but others I delivered by bike. And especially enjoyed that. So, okay. Well, thank you very much for all your support, and we will be in touch, but you better be in touch too. This is a very worthwhile project.
Do you want to set a date for the next meeting, or wait and see what comes up? If not, I'll make a motion to adjourn if Eileen isn't going to do it, because we missed Priscilla tonight.
You know what? I almost blanked out the whole thing here. I'm so inept. I'm totally inept. But now I'm back.
Good.
For the short duration. A motion to adjourn.
Second.
So I make
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. I can't see Pino. I didn't even know he was here. I thought I heard his voice earlier. Well, that's 500. Thank you very much, everybody. And we'll be in touch, okay?
Two.
There you go.
yes. Good night.